Catherine Informal Sophia. I'm a student in World of Faith Group of School, Asaba, Delta State. I'm in SS2, and the novel I'm about to summarize is Second Class Citizen. Second Class Citizen is a novel written by Buchi Emenita. It's although not her novel, but she's a Nigerian citizen, so she decided to write it in a Nigerian way. Second Class Citizen is about a girl named Ada. She was born when she was expected to be a boy instead of a girl. Second Class Citizen is about female inequality, that is inequality between the boys and the girls. The first part of the novel, chapter 1, shows her 8 years as in her early life in the village named Ibuza. Ibuza was celebrating the coming of a man, of a son of the soil. His name is Lawyer Irezi, who came from United Kingdom. They were celebrating because he did not bring in a white wife, because he obeyed their rule and law by not bringing in a white wife. He came only on his own. So they celebrated him, and because they thought that he was going to bring in more, was going to improve their community. Ada was a girl who has the aim and development to go to a school. But her parents did not allow her to go to school because they thought that as a female, she's not meant to go to school. Instead, she's meant to learn how to cook. But Ada, in her quest of going to school, she left the house one day when her mom was discussing with her friends and her dad was off to work. She went to a school named Methodist Grammar School. The school was free of charge, but she went there because there was a man named Mr. Cole, who she thought was going to teach her with her and was not going to laugh at her. So when she entered the school, Mr. Cole on seeing her was very surprised, and he was happy to see her. He welcomed her, although other of her classmates laughed at her, but he welcomed her in a warmly way. So meanwhile at home, when Ada's mother found out that she left the house, her mother was very frustrated, so she went to the police station. The police people gave her garri without water to drink, so they decided to take Ada to school. So after chapter 1, Ada later got married. When she got married to Frances. Frances was an accounting student. In their early days, Frances and Ada were friends. Their relationship was a well-mannered one. But as time goes on, they got married, and Frances was dependent on Ada, and Ada had to pay his school fees and feed their children and so on and so forth. So Frances was not a good man. Ada paid for his school fees to go to abroad to study. Meanwhile, Frances was not a good husband. He did not take care of his children, and he did not care about his family. Instead, he depended on Ada and expected Ada to do the works, the house chores, and also pay the house rent and so on. Meanwhile, Ada had a dream of going to England. So when she went to England, she did not expect the life there. She did not expect the life there to be so hard, because she thought that when she went there with her degree and education, that it would be an easy life for her. But when Ada went there, Frances told her everything about life in England, and that it's not like when she was in Lagos and everybody was going to give her opportunity with her contact with the Americans. So now she's a second-class citizen. That is, second-class citizen is someone that is where you have inequality. Even though you contribute to the society, they consider you as a second-class citizen, because let's say, for example, in America, there are difference between the white and the black. So that is how adult life was. So the novel Second Class Citizen, there are some themes in the novel Second Class Citizen. The themes there are female discrimination and inequality in the boys and girls. A moral lesson in this Second Class Citizen is that you should not underestimate yourself as a female child. As a female child, you should at least have an ambition, even though we are in the world where male dominate the female one, because they think that being female cannot do anything. So in this novel, Ada later realized that she has to take control of her own life, because when Ada was pregnant, Frances went to go and look for a job, a male job. He was still complaining. Meanwhile, Ada one day saw another woman who was doing the same job as him. So my moral lesson for you today is that you should learn how to control your own life. As a female child, you should be able to work on your own. Don't depend on men for what you want. You should be able to have a work and be able to train yourself and your children. Thank you.
Untitled Chapter. I'm a student of Word of Faith group of schools, and I'm in SS2B. And I'm here to summarize a novel named Animal Farm. It was written by George Orwell and a London, a British man. And the beginning of the novel, the pig, he had a dream. He was usually called the prize-winning boar. And so he had a dream, and he called all the animals when Mr. Jones, who was the responsible farmer, has gone to bed with his wife. They all came out in the night, and they were having a meeting. And he told them that he had a dream, that it's high time they take over the farm, that all the humans neglect them, that they only use them for meat, and they use them to do work on the farm. So all the animals agreed to what he said, and he then raised a poem named The Beast of England, and all the animals sang it, even the ones who were not so intelligent, like Boxer, the horse. So as time went on, they started plotting out their plan. Then 3 days later, the wise boar died. That is old Major. He died. Then Napoleon took over. So Napoleon was not a good ruler. He broke the 7 commandments, which were 1. Anything on 2 feet is an enemy. Everything on 4 feet or 2 wings is a friend. And do not drink alcohol. Do not wear clothes. Do not sleep in a bed. No animal should kill any other animal. Then lastly, all animals are equal. He broke the last rule, and he told them that all animals are equal except some which are higher, because he now felt that he was now in authority and he had power over all the other animals. So he made the other animals do much work, and he made them do much work and still gave them lesser ration of food. Why did he told the cows that every milk they produce should be given to them, the pigs, because they do the brain work of the farm. And they changed the name of the farm, they changed the name of the farm into Animal Farm. And so they put a banner up which said that the body wrote all animals are equal. So as time went on, Snowball, another pig, he was actually meant to be the leader, but Napoleon who took over, and he was a wicked leader. Then they started building a windmill which they will use to generate water for themselves. But in early November, a heavy wind came and blew the windmill down. So later on, as they were going, Napoleon continued being more wicked to the animals. Then at a point, Boxer, the horse, he was walking in the field because he was given too much work to do. He was carrying stones. Then he fell down, and he fainted. Then Clover rushed and called everybody. Clover was a mare, not a female horse. She rushed and called everybody and told them that Boxer was lying down in the field. So they came and they were shouting, they were crying because blood was coming out of his nose. Then a bus came to carry him. They were all happy, thinking that they were carrying him to where he would be treated. Then Clover read the sign on the bus, and it was written slaughter. And then they started crying, and all of them tried to chase the bus, but by then the bus already sped away. So later on, at the end of the novel, Napoleon called Mr. Pilkington, who he wanted to sell the land to, because he felt that they were no longer running the animal farm so well. So he called him, and they wanted to make peace with humans after they had the fights, which they won and became Animal Farm. They wanted to make peace with the humans, so he called Mr. Pilkington, and they were drinking and playing a game. So they continued playing the game until they both cast 12. And then they saw a man, and then a pig, and then a man, and then a pig, and the novel ended. The moral lesson of this poem is that everybody's equal. We should always try to give others the opportunity we should give ourselves, and that humans that people should not ride upon other people because they feel that they are lower than them. Thank you.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and my name is Efi Prince. I'm here to summarize the passage with the poem "The Leader and the Led." The poem contains 12 lines in the story. It talks about the lion. The lion claims the leadership of the pack. This talks about leaders who use their physical strength and their appearances in order to claim, because they are bold and in order to claim leadership. But the antelopes also thinks that he feels that he's the leader of the crowd because he can run and so many other. But the people will not like to put the antelope as a leader because he reminds the lion of his devouring nature, and so the antelope will not choose given the opportunity to be the leader. And the giraffe also thinks that he can be the leader because of his keen eyesight, but because the giraffe, his common nature is that he has keen eyesight to see things from far because of his long neck. But he is likened to leaders who only focus on bogus matters, but not matters that is relating to grassroots in the country. The impalace is also there, and because it shudders at its roots, and the rhino was termed ugly in the story, and the hyena also thinks that he can be the king because he comes in a pack, and when they feed on carcass, and when the hyenas usually attack, they usually make use of their pack in order to overthrow other animals and get their food, because they usually wait for animals to kill first before they attack and get their own food. So that is how the thing. And the elephant also, it trudges as its parts because of his big appearance, and is also likened to leaders who uses their big appearances, and because of that the people cannot vote for them because when they are into power, it will be hard for them to be able to step down and so on. The moral lessons of this poem, it talks about the power tussle of the country, of the world today. It's talking about the power tussle, and it says that we should be able to look at the leaders we vote for this nowadays and examine them well before voting them into power, in order to avoid any form of bad issues or any form of problem or inflation in the country. Thank you.
My name is Untitled Chapter. I'm from SS1A. I'm a student from What a Faith Group of School. I'm here to summarize this poem called The Leader and the Led. It was written by Niyi Osindare. Niyi Osindare was born in 1947 in Ekiti State, where he was educated in the University of Ibadan, Leeds and York University. He has authored over 10 volumes of literature, 4 plays, and numerous articles on literature. The poet in this poem, in a couple of lines, describes leadership, its qualities, and the various kinds of people claiming and desiring for leadership. Where in stanza 1, the poet portrayed on the lion trying to stake the leadership of the pack. Leadership. The poet is trying to emphasize that leadership is not by mere claiming. In stanza 3, where the hyena stakes leadership of the pack, but is being disqualified because of his dangerous appetite for which he can kill and devour other animals. In stanza 5, where the giraffe and the zebra try to claim the leadership of the pack, but giraffe is being disqualified because his eyes are too far from the ground. Talk about the zebra, duplicity of his colors costing the leadership race. Then in stanza 6 and 7, talking about the warthog, the rhino, and the elephant. The elephant was disqualified because of his trampling feet. The warthog because he was ugly in nature. The rhino, he was riotous, that is someone violent in character. So the poet was trying to emphasize there that the leadership should be about peacemakers and lovers. Then talking about in stanza 8, where the poet was talking about the voice of a forest sage. That voice of a forest sage has to do with a metaphor of knowledge and determination. Where the poet emphasizes there that leaders, all they need are leaders that are with unique conduct, devoid of corruption, hatred against any other human beings. In stanza 9, when the park trashes around like a snake without a head, we were trying to emphasize there that the kingdom was living without purpose and direction. Then in stanza 10, when the poet talks about a little bit of lion, a little bit of lamb, we're trying to emphasize there that we're trying to emphasize the dynamics of leadership. That is, a leader must be able to be conservative and liberal in handling national affairs. Then in stanza 11, when the poet talks about tough like a tiger, compassionate like a doe, we're trying to emphasize there that leaders are supposed to be like compassionate, and also they should be transparent in policy. Then in stanza 12, the poet was trying to emphasize there that leaders are expected to understand the nature, the culture, the peculiarities of the subject. The moral lesson I learned from this book is that leaders are expected to listen to those who they are like trying to lead, and also that they should be able to understand the nature, the culture, and their peculiarities of their subject. Thank you.
I'm a student of Word of Faith Group of School. I am in SS1. I'll be summarizing the novel Second Class Citizen, written by Buchi Emechata. She was born in Nigeria and went to England in 1962. This Second Class Citizen is talking about a girl named Ada. Her first ill luck was when she was born. No one expected her to be a girl, but a boy. Ada was resisted from going to school because in Igbo land it is said that it is better to train male children in school than female children. But Ada was a stubborn girl who had the ambition of traveling to the United Kingdom one day. None of her relatives, her dream was about to die when her father, died, and her mother remarries, and she goes to stay with her cousin, Uncle Vincent. After her secondary school, she had no one and no home to go to, and she was involved in early marriage with a man called Francis, rather than other old bodies that came for her hand in marriage. When Ada was one to cater for both Francis' family and training his two sisters in school. When Francis was done, he traveled to the United Kingdom, and he said he finds fault in Ada not crying, showing that she was less concerned of his trip to the United Kingdom. After few months, she joins him there, and she is not comfortable with the way their accommodation is, and Francis always finds fault in whatever she does. She wrote her manuscript called The Bride Price, which Mr. Bills also called Brainchild. Ada had the ambition, had a very good ambition, but due to Francis' irresponsibility as her husband, not caring of his duties, she had to be the breadwinner, the one to take care of her child, and also cater for Francis' parents. My moral lesson in this story is that all feminists is being discriminated. This did not begin now. It started in the 1960s when the female and the male are being discriminated. There should not be discrimination between the male and female. There should be balance. If a male, what they say that what a male can do, a female can do better, which is true. Most people try to prove that wrong, but at least we should not be putting that demarcation between the female and the male. Ada strived to fulfill her ambition, and she did after all the trials and all the obstacles that came her way. Thanks.
My name is Juliet. I'm a student of Word of Faith Group of School. I'm a student of SS1A. I'm here to summarize the novel Animal Farm. Animal Farm is a satirical, allegorical prose-based novella which was written by the writer George Orwell in the year 1940.
1943 and 1944. It was later published in the year 1945. This poem is trying to portray the communist economy in Russia, where the communist economy is an economy where the government makes a provision for the citizens and everyone is considered equal. In this economy, but here in Animal Farm, the animals all try to be equal because they try to overthrow man so that they can be considered equal. But their leaders changed, by passage of time, they started changing all the rules to satisfy themselves instead of satisfying everybody. Everyone worked hard, worked together to make their animal farm successful after overthrowing man and being successful. But their leaders kept trying to change the rules. So in that passage of time, all the rules were changed, all the seven commandments given were changed to satisfy the leaders. Why some worked, why the pigs, which were their leaders, did not do any work. They just kept oppressing the leaders. So it's based on, the rule was supposed to be that all animals are equal, but it was changed a long time that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than the other. So this novel is trying to tell us that it's just trying to portray the community economy and how some leaders can change sometimes. So sometimes relating it to Africa, to the situation at home, is the same thing. The way some people try to change what's supposed to be meant to be. So from the theme of this, the literary devices in these novels are allegory, symbolism, and it's a novella. My morality of the novella is that we need to work together. We need each other because without man, the animals were in chaos. But with men, though they were not best of shape, but they were okay, and there was no discrimination between all of them. Thank you.
My name is Deborah, and I am a student of Word of Faith group of schools, and I am in SS1A. The novel that I am about to summarize is The Leader and the Led by Niyi Osundare, who was born in 1947 in Ekiti State. The poem is about the lion who claims to be the leader in the pack, the leader of the pack, but he was disqualified because of the ferocious pounds of his paws. Then the hyena still claims to be the leader of the pack, but his flowing of him longing to kill and devour all the animals, and it was pinpointed by impalas, meaning the antelope. The giraffe and zebra still claimed to be the leader of the pack. It's just that giraffe was disqualified because his eyes were too far from the ground, and zebra was still disqualified because the duplicity of his colors caused him the leadership race. Also elephants, rhino and warthog, they still claim to be good leaders. It's just that elephant was now disqualified because of his trampling feet. Warthog was disqualified because he was too ugly, while rhino, he was disqualified because he was violent and rough. After everything, no animal was still suggested as the leader of the animal kingdom. And from my moral lesson from this poem is that leaders should be straightforward. They should not be two-faced with no attitude of moral standards, and they should listen to their followers in any case. Thank you.
My name is Joy Beniza Ekam. I'm a student of Word of Faith group of school. I am in SS1A.
I'm here to summarize the novel Animal Farm. The novel was written by a man named John Orwell. He wrote the novel November 1943 to February 1944 and later published it in August 17th in 1945. George Orwell was born in a family of Blair and he was born in India. The poem Animal Farm, the fairy tale Animal Farm is all about a story of a group of animals who rebel against their master, their human master. One night, the animal gathered to listen to what old Major, the oldest pig, wanted to say, and he started with his speech, combo, and then he said that no animal in England know what is peace, happiness. Then he said his dream, that he dreamt about when animals were all living in peace without the torture of their human masters. 3 days later, old Major slept peacefully and died. When he slept peacefully and died, they buried him, and his position was later replaced by two people, Snowball and Napoleon. When they were in position, they rebelled against their animal master, Mr. Joe. Mr. Joe and his men were sent out of the farm and his house. So the farm animals, Napoleon and Snowball, who were the people in Ledge, were all happy. But later, Snowball and Napoleon got into a disagreement, and the disagreement was all about when Snowball said he wanted to build a windmill, and then Napoleon disagreed with him. Later, one day, 3 firm dogs entered the farm and pursued Snowball out of the farm. So Snowball was expelled from the farm. Napoleon was now the only person in position. So when he was there, the animals worked hard more than they expected. Napoleon started stealing food so that he would feed himself and other pigs in the land. And then Napoleon started going against the 7 commandments. The first commandment was any animal that walk upon 2 legs is an enemy, and any animal that walk upon 4 legs is a friend. And then he said that the 3rd rule was no animal should sleep in bed, no animal should wear clothes. The 5th rule was no animal should drink alcohol. The 6th rule was no animal should kill each other. Napoleon told them that they are now in a republic. So he was the only person who was contesting for president. So he was now the president. But later, Napoleon started engaging in trade with a man called Wayemba. Wayemba, when he entered the farm, he will go out and spread bad news against the farm. At the ending part of the novel, Wayemba was asked him to bring 400 crates of egg, and for the exchange of other things. So they gave the Wayemba 400 crates of egg. Then later, at the ending of the novel, Napoleon and Pinklon were drinking whiskey and were playing cards. While the animals were outside, they did not know who was pig and who was a human. The moral lesson of my story is that you should not do what you cannot. You should not say what you cannot do, and power and overpower can lead man to his destruction. Thank you.
Francisca. I'm a student of Word of Faith College. I'm SS1B. I'm here to summarize the story named Second Class Citizen, written by Chita. This story is talking about a girl named Ada who was eager to go to school, but in some families, the female children are not allowed to go to school, only the men. But the girl was so eager to go to school, so she sneaked out of the house and she went to school named Methodist Girls School. When she came back, she found out that her mother had been arrested and accused of child neglect, and her mother was forced to drink curry with water. her mother came back from the police station, her father flogged her mercilessly, but she continued going to school. But there was a lawyer from England, lawyer Nweze, who was celebrated from coming from the United Kingdom. When Ada saw this, she was so eager to go to the United Kingdom. She had an ambition to go to the United Kingdom. Later on, her father died and she was sent to live with her mother's brother. And her mother got married to her father's brother, and her brother, which was named Boy, went to live with her mother's brother. So Ada stayed with her mother's brother named Vincent. She stayed with her cousins, 7 boys, but she lived as a slave there. They treated her as a slave, but later on, they wanted her to drop school, but someone told them that the more she stays in school, the higher her bride price. So they allowed her to stay in school. When she finished her higher institution, she got married to an accountant named Francis Obi. She had to marry him because she had nowhere to stay. So she got a job as a librarian, and she earned more than her husband. When her husband seeing this was annoyed, and he told his father that she is earning more than him. The father told him he should not bother himself, that it's good as she's earning more than him, so she'll be able to take care of the family. So Ada now told her in-laws that about her ambition to travel to the United Kingdom, but her in-laws didn't allow her. They told her that only the man should be allowed to go. So they allowed the man to travel to the United Kingdom. But after Ada giving birth to a second child named Victor, she still told her in-laws about her ambition to go to the United Kingdom, but she was allowed to go and meet her husband. In getting there, seeing the environment and the surrounding that her husband brought her to, she was so annoyed because those people were Yorubas and they were Igbos, and her husband told her what did she expect since they were blacks and they were regarded as second-class citizens. And my moral lesson from this story is that they should stop the discrimination of racism, the black and the white, that we should be regarded as equal, and the female children should also be given the right to go to school. They should also be educated.
My name is Odupi Sotuko. I'm a student of World of Faith School, Asaba, Delta State. I'm from SS1A and I'm here to summarize the novel called Second Class Citizen. Second Class Citizen was written by a Nigerian, but she further went to England in 1962. Her name is Bishe Micheta, and Second Class Citizen is talking about a girl named Ada. She was expected to be a boy, but unfortunately for her, she came out being a girl. So she was discriminated. She had a brother called Boy, and in their village, it was said to be that males are better to be trained than females. So Ada didn't go to school. She was meant to fetch water, cook, but her brother Boy went to school. So Ada, being a stubborn kid, had this ambition that she wanted to go to school and become someone well known. One day there was a man came back from England. He came to Lagos, and he was being celebrated by their town for being a noble man. So on seeing that, Ada had this ambition that she will go to the United Kingdom, London, to be well known and to be celebrated just like the man. Ada, because of the late demise of Ada's father, she had to go and stay with her cousin and her uncle. But over there, she was treated like a slave, unlike when she was at home. And that's her dream of going to abroad, that is United Kingdom, London, almost died. But she was being courageous. So she had to steal money to even cope, to pay her fees. So one day, Ada ran away from her house, and in order for her to cope, she married
said to be accountant. He was not an accountant, but he was to be an accountant, and he was meant to study in London. So Ada had to be the one to cater for the man. She sent him school fees abroad. She sent him school fees from Nigeria to London. So seeing that her parents, she told her in-laws that she wanted to go and visit her husband in London. So when she got there, the life in London was not what she thought it would be. She thought that London would be like a heaven on earth. So when she got there, she was not happy. She was annoyed. She was like, God, is this London I've been dreaming of going? But unfortunately for her, she had to cope because she was already in London. So her husband, Francis, was an irresponsible man. He didn't even care about her. So he was just able to give her children. He wasn't able to feed them. He wasn't able to do any good thing for her. So she gave birth to her first child, Titi. She gave birth to her second child, Vicky. And when she was seeing that she was not having anything good, she was angry. She was mad at her husband, but her husband was kind of living an I don't care life. And she gave birth to another child, Bubu, and she was with fourth pregnancy when her husband tore her manuscript. She made a manuscript titled The Bride Price. So Mr. Francis, her Ada's husband, was angry with her that he was not able to cope with her, that he was comparing her to her mates. And she was angry because instead of him to be the breadwinner of the house, being a man, she was now the one taking care of the family, taking care of her children. So she now filed a divorce, and when they divorced, she met her friend on the way. So that was how the story ended. And I would say that my moral lessons are that, firstly, we should not compare ourselves to other people. We should feel that we are okay. You are not to care about what they say. Just think of yourself and yourself alone. And secondly, I would say that we are meant to have an ambition. Or everybody has an ambition in this life. Whether your ambition, you don't just focus. And I would say that thirdly, ladies are not to be discriminated, because God has a reason for giving us females. If it were to just be males that were in this world, I would say that the world would be a boring one, because it's a woman that gave birth to a man, and so how will you not be saying that women are better than men? So I would say that we are all equal. We are not to compare ourselves with anybody, and we are meant to have an ambition in life. Thank you.